So businesses are in the game of survival. They need to compete and they need to create value in order to survive. They're under threat at the moment, although many businesses don't realize it, because lack of sustainability and the pressures the planet's under mean we're facing water scarcity, energy scarcity, extreme heat, flooding, which are disrupting supply chains, they're causing loss and damage to assets, they're changing markets, they're changing what customers are wanting. So business has got to actually, whilst making short-term profits, has also got to think of a longer-term lens. Chief Sustainability Officers, CSOs, have historically, I think, been perceived as people who are slightly separate to the business, doing some reporting over there. CSOs going forwards have to be central to the business. I often talk about my role as a CSO being the Chief Sustainability Officer and the Chief Strategy Officer. You've got to put sustainability and strategy together. But the characteristics of a CSO need to be around courage, real commitment to the cause, and constant creativity. And without that, I don't think CSO as a profession will evolve, and businesses won't be able to step up. CSOs are agitators, they're disruptors. They're not simply carbon counters. I believe in agency theory, where governments, businesses, and civil society all interact with one another, and you need all three. And you can't leave it to governments. You can't expect civil society to take the burden of the action. And businesses can't do it alone. But businesses have got to stop operating in isolation and just worrying about their own business and invest in thinking more broadly about their value chain, and secondly, about cross-industry collaboration to bring a collective voice that can actually lobby governments and get the policy changes that are needed to shift the market. But it's that collective voice that matters, because one business alone, however big they are, isn't going to be a meaningful voice. I work for Arup. We're a consultancy. Our business is the built environment. So we do energy, water, transport, buildings, cities, data centers, the stage set on which life plays out. The built environment is responsible for 37% of global emissions. And yet it isn't in the spotlight. Bits of it are, like the steel industry or the concrete industry, but actually the built environment as a whole. And that needs to change. And so what we need to do is change the way we construct, change the way we make buildings. The fundamental change that is going on and that we've been collaborating with others on for the last 5 years is getting to a point where we think about carbon in the same way we think about cost. And what I mean by that is if you build a building, you think about the CapEx, the capital budgets, and the OpEx, the operational budgets. And you think about those operational budgets over the lifespan of the building. What we're saying is we need to count the carbon in the same way we count cost. And once you get whole life carbon assessments becoming business as usual, you can then overlay sensitivity analysis on that in terms of carbon pricing or in terms of policy change. But to get that change has required us to collaborate with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, with many other industry players. The World Business Council for Sustainable Development is an industry body, is working with the Global Alliance for Buildings and Construction, which is a coalition of governments. But it's contributing to those coalitions and being really clear about what are the fundamental barriers that can be the key to creating real change in the industry. So Arup is an unusual firm. We were founded in 1946 in the immediate aftermath of World War II. by Sir Ove Arup, who was originally a philosopher. And he set up the firm based on the principle that we should be a business that is socially useful. So I believe that sustainability is in our DNA. He was a philosopher, he wrote a lot. He also talked about the fact that as engineers, we need to be mindful of the ecological consequences of the work we do. That's writing from the 1970s. He was ahead of his time, but he was planting the seeds that have come to bear now. So that's very important. The second thing I think is the fact that we as a firm realize that what we do, which is create the built environment, is fundamental to improving lives. You know, we talk about in our new purpose statement about creating safe, resilient and regenerative places that enable communities now and in the future to thrive. So we've really thought hard about the role that we play and the products and services we offer and ensuring that those are actually beneficial. They're not about us making money, they're about service to society. And I think the last thing, which is very real for us and it's for other businesses, sustainability is no longer in the nice to have box. I am the climate risk owner for our enterprise, as part of our enterprise risk management framework. And climate risk is real. And it's real for us, it's real for our clients. And that's whether we're talking about physical risks caused by extreme heats and flooding, or whether we're talking about transition risks caused by carbon pricing and policy change. It's here and it's now. And it's not just risks associated with climate, it's risks associated with nature loss. But what's exciting is that for us, it's opening up really exciting new business opportunities. I'm as excited now as I was when I first started working in 1988, when computers had just arrived, and so we could design buildings that no one had ever designed before, and our imagination could fly, an architect's imagination could fly. And we've then gone through decades where we've lent from creativity to compliance. That pendulum is swinging back from compliance to creativity, and that's how we're going to secure a sustainable future.